Welcome to the Positively Portugal football report for round 6 of the Primeira Liga season. My name is Howie, and before we get to the Primeira Liga, we're going to talk a little bit about the Champions League. And the city of Lisbon had quite the week. Sporting won their first group stage game at home against Lille of France. Jokeris scored a goal in the 38th minute. 2 minutes later, Lille got a red card, and Sporting only added on one more in the 65th minute, but they really didn't need to add anything else on as the result was never really in doubt. It wasn't in doubt either in Belgrade, where Benfica played Red Star. Benfica wins 2-1 there. Red Star got a late goal in the 86th minute, but again, there was never really much of a concern about whether or not Benfica would win that game. So the city of Lisbon makes quite the opening statement in the Champions League in the first group stage game. Moving on to the Primeira Liga, we had Braga bouncing back on Friday from that derby loss against Vitória. They went into Madeira and beat up on Nacional 3-0. Santa Clara beat Estrela 1-0. Rio Ave and Estoril played to a 2-2 draw. Porto was all over Vitória in Guimarães. That ended 3-0. Famalicão and Moreirense ended in a scoreless draw. Gil Vicente and Casapia 1-1 there. Arouca beats Forense in the Algarve, no less. Forense now 6 games, 6 losses, only 2 goals. Sporting 3-0 over AVS, and Benfica 3-0 over Boa Vista in Porto. So, we're going to take a look now at the table. We have Sporting and Benfica in the Champions League spot. We also have in the Europa League Porto. So it's actually identical to where it is this season. And 4th place in that Conference League spot is actually Santa Clara. They're starting off the season pretty well, but you can't look for that to continue. Santa Clara, they are a newly promoted team, and even when they're not newly promoted, let's face it, they're not going to finish 4th. In the relegation zone, there's Forense. Again, 6 games, 6 losses, 2 goals. This team is not putting forth any sort of hope for their fans. It looks like they're going down. This is just not what we saw last year from them, and I guess it would stand to reason that Forense would take a step back, but I don't think anybody saw this one coming. Estrela, also in the other relegation spot, they only have 2 points. Nacional is in the relegation playoff. They have 4. We might not see a lot of movement in those places like we did last season. So, the team of the week is Braga for bouncing back from the derby loss to Vitória, and the week's biggest loser is Vitória for putting up such a stinker against Porto after they were dominant against Braga. And, you know, what I want to say about that is the derby, well, not the derby or that derby, but any derby, honestly, it's nonsense. They're mostly for the fans. A derby is a 3-game process. You have the game before the derby where you could get caught looking ahead. You have the actual derby. And you have the game after the derby where you can suffer a disappointment. Let's say your team wins a derby. There's great feelings all around. The fans are celebrating. The players are happy. It is a rivalry. I'm not discounting that at all. But what if you get caught looking ahead the week before? What if you have a letdown the week after? You could win the derby and only take 3 out of 9 points in that 3-game span. So let me ask you a question then. If that happens, did you really win the derby? I mean, great for Vitória that they looked so good against Braga. That usually is not the case. Braga, for the most part, has handled the derby pretty well. But they didn't in that game. However, they showed what they're made out of. They were angry. They went into Madeira. They won in convincing fashion. I'm never going to sit here and expect Vitória to beat Porto. Porto is a special Portuguese team. There's a reason why they're one of the big three. They're never going to be an underdog against Vitória or for really any other team except for Benfica and Sporting. But Vitória was just awful. They got destroyed. It could have been worse than 3-0. So I've never been a big believer in the derby dominio, in any game involving two of the big three. And it's not just Portugal. I'm not a big believer in the importance of El Clásico, for example, Real Madrid and Barcelona. How many times have fans of both teams see, if not a disappointing performance in the actual derby, but just not getting it done in the games before or after? So, to me, the derby, really, it's all about the fans. And the truth is, Vitória is going to have to be more consistent. They need to score more goals. In their wins this season, they've been great defensively, but the 2 losses have just, they don't have the offense. I don't know if Vitória can hold on to, they're in a European spot. I don't know if they can hold on to that spot. I don't know if they can compete to be in the Conference League next year. Certainly they're not going to compete for the Europa League, and you can just forget about the Champions League. But I guess that's football. Just never be a big believer in a derby, and as I always say on this channel, never believe in Vitória. So I want to thank you all for watching, and if you want more videos about Portuguese football, if you want more about one man's journey immigrating from the United States to Portugal, please hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment. Most importantly, subscribe. Subscribing to a YouTube channel is the #1 way to help a content creator. Once again, I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll be back here very soon, folks. Have a good one.